And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, this is your type of weather, isn't it? Cold and difficult to drive.
I was driving in this morning. It was 18 degrees. 18.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, no. But it's supposed to be 41, I think, by the time the day ends. So we'll get some melt going.
Right.
I just got to toughen up in my old age, Eric.
Well, if I were you, I would move.
There's an idea. Maybe someplace a little more mild and temperate, maybe with an ocean effect.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that one.
Please do. In the meantime, I want to tell you about Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. On Wednesday, the city of Aurora is having an impound vehicles auction featuring trucks, cars, SUVs, 4x4s, trailers, and more. Online bidding is started at rollerauction.com. Remember, you can do all of this from your own home. You don't have to go in, listen to an auctioneer, go through each item, kind of like what I do. Right? You don't have to listen to a guy like me. You can do it all online from the comfort of your own home and get what you want at the price you want. So with that, go to rollerauction.com, get involved in this auction or any auction that is coming up. Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. Go to rollerauction.com. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
The city of Denver is quickly becoming historic Recordville. It feels like, and maybe you don't feel this way, Bruce, but it feels like that when the Broncos play, but specifically the Avalanche and the Nuggets play, at least this season, a new record is being broken, either a franchise record or a league record. We got another one coming from last night. Jamal Murray, 52 points, hitting 10 three-pointers at a clip of 90% or better. Only time this had been done in NBA history was Aaron Gordon earlier this season. And now a pair of teammates have done it for the first time in NBA history. This also made the Nuggets the third team in NBA history to have at least three players score 50 points or more in a single game. And it's the earliest it has ever been done in NBA history in just 21 games. With all of these records flying in for all of our teams, do we almost become numb to it? Like, okay, it's another record because we're so used to it with Jokic specifically, and now McKinnon is starting to do it on the hockey end.
I hadn't thought of it that way. I suppose there's probably some truth to that. I thought it was impressive also that it was an 8th straight road win. So that's a really notable thing as well. They've been a better team on the road than they have been at home. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, anytime there is no question that there is, even though you try not to do it, taking Nikola Jokic kind of for granted. You take for granted the triple doubles every single night.
Yeah.
And even though through Michael Malone and now through David Adelman, the warnings of, hey, enjoy this guy while you have him, you won't have him forever. They are out there. We're living in the present of some incredible greatness. And it rubs off on others. I mean, Jamal Murray's a capable player. We've seen him go for 50. Aaron Gordon has become, a much better offensive player. Although his 50 burger was kind of crazy. I mean, you're not used to seeing him score points like that. Hey, I'm just glad they won, to be really honest. After their malaise at home, it was good to see them go on the road and get a win. And Jamal Murray was great Jamal Murray theater last night. He was fun to watch.
I'll tell you something. I know the Nuggets have only won 6 of their last 10 games. If it was the Rockies, that'd be reason for celebration. For the Nuggets, it's not that big of a deal. And if anything, you would say they are underachieving. With that, Aaron Gordon is out. Christian Brown is out. But when I look at this team overall, and right now they're sitting in 5th in the Western Conference standings, I look at what Jamal Murray has done this season. And we talked about it during training camp. Guy looks good. He's more of a leader. All these good things have been said about him with how he prepared during the offseason. Well, how is he doing so far? Career high in the regular season, points per game so far, 25 points per game. Career high in assists, 7 per game. Career high in rebounds, 5 per game. Career high in three-point shooting, 3 per game. Career high in field goal percentage, over 50%. Career high in three-point shooting percentage, 45%. These guys are gone, and I'm referring to Brown and Gordon right now. But if Murray continues this, Robin is back.
Yeah.
With Batman.
Yeah, and the Nuggets look like the kind of team that can create problems for those in the West. I would agree. Yeah, it's
right now he's playing like playoff Jamal. How's that?
When I see Jamal,
isn't he?
Yes, without question. When I see Jamal Murray playing like this, I wonder if deep down inside of him, he doesn't think, damn, I probably should have been doing this right from the jump. I probably should have been this kind of player getting ready to play. I mean, you have an example in Nikola Jokic. I mean, people, I don't think, give Nikola Jokic enough credit for being ready to play right from jump. I mean, the guy is ready. He does whatever training he does in Sombor, in Serbia, it works because he is ready to start the season and to play well from the jump. So I wonder a little bit about that, but that's just my own curiosity. But it's great to see. And now it boils down to something that they're already dealing with, their health. I mean, had 2 bad injuries that are keeping key players out for long periods of time. They dodged a bullet with Murray in the ankle, obviously. He looked great last night. So maybe we don't have to worry about that. So, you worry about that. But this, when it's a healthy team, is a capable team in a 7-game series. We asked the question yesterday about the Avs. Who the hell's going to beat the Avs in their current state in a 7-game series? Well, it's kind of different for the Nuggets. The Nuggets, I think, have a chance against any team they play in a 7-game series as long as they have their depth and their health with their depth.
Right. All right, let's move on over to the Rockies. They have a new GM, Josh Byrnes, most recently, Dodgers Senior Vice President of Baseball Operations. He's been there since 2014. He was also the GM of the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Former Red Sox GM Theo Epstein said this about Byrnes in 2005 as Byrnes worked under Theo Epstein, said this. Byrnes, a key voice in player personnel. He's got as much of a feel for evaluation and statistical analysis as anyone in baseball. When you first saw it was Josh Byrnes, a name that if you follow baseball, you certainly recognize. Were you thinking, wow, maybe this team has turned the corner about being incestuous?
I'm not. Yeah. I mean, he worked under Dan O'Dowd. Who I
there's a statute of limitations. If it's been more than 20 years, yes, you worked for the organization, but it's no longer incestuous.
Yes, I would say that it's no longer incestuous. In fact, I was pleased when I heard it. I was like, okay, this is a good and Dee Podesta should have been the first step, but I was a little wait and see and skeptical about that. And we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But this move I really liked. It was like you said, if you know baseball, you know guys like this, you know the types of impacts that they have had for teams that they have worked for. The fact that the guy continues to work and works in good places with good people is always a good thing in my opinion. He's not a guy that works, runs hot and then is all of a sudden out of the game for 3 years. You know what I mean? He's been around the game. I thought that this was a really good move. I think it shows at least some level of understanding about what the Rockies need to do. It's going to still take time to get there. It's not going to be flipping a switch. It's going to take time to get there because they're so far behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
But this was, to me, I thought, a pretty good first step. What do you think?
I liked it on the surface because at least I knew the name, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't some guy that they promoted from, down the ranks. What impressed me was, listen, there's some things that Josh Byrnes did as a GM that didn't go over well, like trading Max Scherzer.
Sure. Yeah.
That didn't work out very well. However, they did draft him under Byrnes. Okay?
Yes.
Here are some of the guys that were drafted under Josh Byrnes. When he was the Diamondbacks GM, and you're a big baseball guy and you know all these names, and even if you're not a big baseball guy, you probably know many of these names. Under this guy, under Josh Byrnes, the Diamondbacks drafted Max Scherzer, Paul Goldschmidt, A.J. Pollock, and Adam Eaton. Pretty good, right?
Yeah, really good.
When he was the Padres GM, and let's face it, he did not have a lot of support from ownership when he was with San Diego. But they drafted Trey Turner, Max Fried, Hunter Renfroe, Zach Eflin. Pretty good players, right?
You're 2 for 2 so far.
When he was with the Dodgers, by the way, the director of baseball operations, but his job that was his title. What he did was he oversaw the draft in the farm system, something that the Rockies desperately need help with. These are some of the guys that you can make the case that Byrnes helped unearth in the draft. Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, Walker Buehler, Tony Gosselin, Gavin Lutz, and Dustin May. Every single guy that I just named from those three teams, if you put them on the Rockies right now, what would they look like? And I'm talking about when they were great players.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a pretty good list.
Yeah, he's got a very good track record. His strength is in the roots of the game, scouting, development, things which you and I have talked about. For anyone that wanted to listen to Rockies, and I know there's not a lot of people that do, you've got to be able to draft and develop.
Yeah.
Draft and develop. Baseball may be the most important. That may be the most important factor in the game of baseball, because baseball's not a quick fix. You don't just draft a player and then all of a sudden he's, hitting 30 home runs for you the next year. That player develops. And it takes time and maturity and seasoning and all of the things that come with being patient. Baseball is a patient game. And the payoff is never the first or second year. It's usually the third year or the fourth year where you start to see players mature as a professional enough to be a difference maker in the major leagues. He's got a record of being successful with that kind of, first of all, being able to see it. And, that's job one. You've got to be able to see the talent, and then you've got to be able to develop the talent. And he's checked both boxes in just about every place that he's been.
Right. And I want to continue with that. So more so than just drafting players and then players being developed. Let's be very honest, though. With the Dodgers, you could draft the players. The Dodgers have a pretty good developmental system. Yep. It's not like Josh Byrnes invented it.
Right, exactly. Agreed.
Okay. But he brought in players. He brought in players in Arizona. And, oh, by the way, when the Rockies played the Diamondbacks in 2007 in the National League Championship Series, Josh Byrnes was not the GM, but it was his talent. It was his talent that got them to the 07 NLCS. And, oh, by the way, when he was basically running scouting here in Denver, he picked up two really good guys that everybody here knows, Brad Hopp and Garrett Atkins.
Yeah.
Now, that draft, his tenure wasn't loaded with great players. I mean, let's really call it like it is. Ian Stewart was a draft pick under Byrnes, and he is arguably one of the most disappointing draft picks in Rockies history. So he can spot talent. But I also like the fact that he did spend time here. Building a team at altitude is not easy. I've talked to too many people who really know baseball, who are as cynical and as optimistic on both sides of the spectrum, and they're all consistent. It's really hard to build a team here. So he does have experience here, and he comes from a winning culture with the Dodgers. He knows what winning looks like. He knows what a draft pick should look like. He knows what building a team at altitude looks like. The resume looks impressive. Now go do it.
Yeah, and Eric, and we've talked about this a lot. You've got the right guy in at the top, but what does the rest of the tree look like? Now you've got, I mean, it's like you put the star up on the top of the Christmas tree, but now you've got to decorate the rest of the tree, right?
Well, think about this for a second.
You got to get good people in your scouting department. All of those things, you've got to have trust in those people now that he's going to bring in. That's going to be the challenge.
I mean, think about this. I'm not going to give him too much credit here.
Right.
But were the Dodgers winning a bunch of World Series back in 2014? No.
No.
And do the Dodgers spend a lot of money on guys like Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani? Of course they do.
Yep.
But this team has been built like the Yankees were built in the 1990s, around a core of players. And listen, Ohtani and Betts are fantastic. Freddie Freeman's unbelievable. I get that. But you have to have your core of players like the Yankees did in the 90s. We could talk about how much money the Yankees always spent, but who was the core of that team? It was Bernie Williams and Pettit and Rivera, right? And Jeter. Right. But so the guys that I rattled off in terms of being great, Seager and Bellinger and Lutz and so on and so forth, you have to have those guys.
Yep.
Well, point in saying all of this is he was in charge of the farm system and drafting. Who do you think hired those guys? Or who do you think had a major say in it? Josh Byrnes.
Right.
So it looks like he knows how to build a team. Now, do they have the same financial resources to set up shop in Japan or South Korea? No. Well, they do. It's just Dick Monfort has never invested in that because he doesn't see the immediate payout. When Dick Monfort gets himself a party deck, he can see the immediate payout. People are up there buying drinks. That's what he likes. He wants the instant gratification. You don't get instant gratification in baseball when you draft a guy in the third round and he has to work his way up through single A ball.
Right. It's a totally different kind of challenge, but it is intriguing because there is at least a recognition with Walker Monfort, at the very least, there is a recognition that the game has, and I don't want to overstate this, that the game has kind of passed them by and they've got a lot of catching up to do. I think that there's an understanding, at least with him, that this is the way that they need to move now. And now you've got DePodesta and Byrne. You've got two recognizable names. So you're taking the first steps in getting there. I mean, so many fans don't understand the process of building a team. They just want to know, did we win or did we lose? And I mean, have we lost 3 or 100 games over the last 3 seasons? Well, we really suck. Well, you've got to be able to identify the problem, fix the problem by bringing in the right people to bring in the right people themselves to start affecting a roster in a winning way. It takes time and it takes effort. A lot of things go on behind the scenes in the game of baseball than just the players that are on the field. You've got to get the right players on the field, and that takes a lot of insight and development. And the Rockies are at the early stages of doing that the right way. They've had their ways of doing it, but the results have spoken for themselves in that regard. Now we change the way that we do it, and let's see what happens.
Quoting Deion Sanders, when it comes to recruiting, high school recruiting specifically, you know where to find me. Well, only 11 guys did. That's next. Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 five-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
And welcome back. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. Christmas is coming up fast. You might have family over. Do you want to cook, or do you want someone to do the cooking for you? My recommendation is, if you love great barbecue, go to Smokin' Dave's, and they will cater in your Christmas party. Let me give you an idea of what you can get. Something called the Big Kahuna Belly Buster. Picture having your family over with a full slab of ribs, an entire chicken, half pound of pulled pork, half pound of beef brisket, 4 large sides, 6 pieces of outstanding cornbread, and it serves up to 5 to 7 people. If you have 12 to 14 people, just buy 2 of them. And it's going to be less than $200. Each of these items, meaning the Big Kahuna Belly Buster, that is under $100. It's under $100. So if you double it and you get double the food, it's still less than $200. And the food is unbelievable. Highly recommend Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. Best barbecue spot in town. I know you have your favorite. Try mine. You'll see what I'm talking about. You can find them off of 36th and Pecos. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 five-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Bruce, in the Power 4 football conferences, what are there, about 68 teams? Sound about right?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. The Buffs high school recruiting class isn't in the top 100.
I have a question I have a question for you, and it pertains to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What do Jacksonville State, Arkansas State, Utah State, Kent State, Ohio, Georgia Southern all have in common?
They are ranked higher than the Buffs recruiting class.
That would be correct, my friend.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
The Buffs right now are 104. This is according to 24/7 Sports, which is probably the
leader.
The leader in this kind of information.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
104, just ahead of Western Michigan and Louisiana Tech and UMass.
Right.
So, it's not a good place to be at this particular point. And it begs the question, as Deion Sanders starts to look into some self-scouting and what his staff is going to look like next year and how he procures players, I would imagine at some point you've got to kind of stop and take a look at the way you're doing everything and make adjustments. Look, you and I give Deion Sanders a lot of credit for being a really smart guy.
Yeah.
Well, it starts at home right now. This is a football program in some dire need of some things right now.
Let's flip this around on Deion Sanders, who likes to keep receipts. Here are my receipts, Deion. Your team was 3-9.
Yeah.
Your team was 3-9.
Yeah.
I don't believe now. You know where to find me. Another receipt. No one found you. 11 high school players. 1 out of the state of Colorado.
Yeah.
1. And listen, Colorado is not a hotbed for high school talent. But when you have kids that are going to, I don't know, Texas, BYU, Oklahoma, teams that are competing for a national championship, well, I guess those kids were good enough for them.
Right.
Maybe you should travel down 36. There is some talent there. They signed 1 kid out of Colorado. Go find it. But the high school coaches I've talked to, they don't know any of the Colorado coaches because they don't show up.
No.
They don't show up locally and nationally. Again, it's all about the transfer portal. And honestly, I don't see how you build a team that way. I understand when Bill Snyder started at Kansas State and the Wildcats were awful, he had to go the JUCO route early. But then eventually he started bringing in high school players.
Absolutely.
This is year 4.
Right.
I can understand doing it the first 2 years. But how did that work out for you? 3-9. And now you have 11 kids.
But Eric,
and the high school class last year was far better, even if you took Juju off that list.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you guys doing? Seriously. Seriously, after the game is over, what do? Crack open a beer and break out some cheese puffs and there's no recruiting? What are they doing?
Yeah, the problem is that it's year 4 and they're not making progress. They've actually gotten worse. And so that's kind of where I am with them at this point. What are you doing? To using your question, I'll use it in an even broader fashion. And I think that Deion probably needs to ask the question, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I know I've got the band back together. I've got my yellow coats, my Hall of Famers in the locker room coaching with me. I got all this NFL experience. Okay, well, how is that equating to the college game? I just will ask the question. Like I'm Deion Sanders. I think he should be asking himself these kinds of questions. Is that making it better for me? Those guys are not, I don't know what kind of recruiters those guys are. They're former NFL stars, for God's sakes. You think that those guys are going to go do the dirty work of recruiting? Right. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, the evidence seems to indicate that they're not doing it. And of course, there has been so much dependence on the thought that if we can just get guys through the portal, we can throw them all together and we'll wave our magic wand and just make them a great college football team. Eric, they weren't only 3-9, but they were 3-9 with an anchor. They lost games by 30, 35, 40 points. Yes, they stuck with it to the end of the season and they played hard. And for that, I do give them some credit. I really do. But you still lose the game and you're still 3-9 and the same questions persist. I think that is maybe the most interesting program in the Power Four conferences of any in the country this year to see what Deion does to kind of shift what they're doing now as a program. Because, hey, he knew damn good and well what was coming down the pike. He was saying at the end of the season, hey, give me time. I can do this. Just give me the time. He knows good and well that he's on the clock now, whether he's Deion Sanders or not.
I think they'd have a tough time letting him go, no matter what the record is.
Right. You can't let him go now. You've got to stick with him. You do.
And let's be fair. NIL money does come into it.
Mm-hmm.
Plays a major role.
Yes.
And I get it. However, I believe I heard Sanders say in so many words, why am I recruiting a high school kid when I can lose them in less than 2 years? That's kind of like saying, I'm not going to marry everybody that I date. So why would I date?
Uh-huh. Okay.
If the girl that I date is going to be gone in 2 years, why should I date them to begin with?
Gotcha. And I'll try to be as brutally truthful about myself as I can be. I realize that I am very old school about this, and this is a new school way of doing college sports. And I'm trying to get comfortable with the understanding of it. And I get it. I'm not silly. I understand that money talks, suckers walk. I get all of that. You've got to have NIL, but you also have to, and this I don't think ever changes. You have to have a core. You have to have a foundation on which you're constantly building. I call it culture. Deion can call it something else, whatever the case.
He doesn't believe in culture. Listen,
he doesn't believe in.
He doesn't believe in culture.
He doesn't believe in culture the way that I think we define it. And okay, maybe he believes in something else that is undefined at this point. But I do think that even though you live in this age of NIL and you live in the transfer portal and you can manipulate those things to put yourself in a really good position to win, you still have to have at the core a foundation on which you're building. I think the hardest thing in college sports, in any sport, but particularly football, because it's such a broad-based foundation, is to start from scratch every year. And that's really what Deion Sanders has kind of been doing. They're not building any kind of continuity. I mean, they're coming in basically like they did in the first year, right, in the fourth year. And that's a little bit of an overstatement, but you get my point. And I just don't know why anyone would think that that's a good way to do things.
I'm going to try and compare this to dating again, so please humor me and allow me to get through this. Okay. So I have a very good friend and used to play professional baseball. Me and a buddy of mine, John, used to go visit him every year in Ocean City, Maryland. This friend of ours, strikingly good looking for a man. I mean, like an Adonis. And we used to walk into bars, and this is when we were all single, and he could just stand in a corner and women would flock to him. And whether he had any game or not was irrelevant. He was so good looking, women would just gravitate towards him. That was Deion Sanders year one. That was Deion Sanders year two. Now, using this analogy, that friend of mine has aged about 15 years. Now he's about 55 in a bar full of women who are about 25 to 30 years old. Not as attractive anymore.
No.
You better have some game because you look a little older now and the women aren't going to come up to you. And because you really never developed your game on how to really talk to women, make them laugh, maybe impress them. Now Deion Sanders, looking at this recruiting class, is standing in that corner pretty much by himself. Using my friend as the analogy, you know where to find me. I'm standing in the corner. I don't even need to open my mouth. I'm so good looking that you're going to want to come up and talk to me. Well, we know where to find that friend, but nobody really wants to walk up to that friend anymore because he's that much older and there's a bigger age gap. So with Deion Sanders, he had all the wind at his back. And now they're 3-9, right?
Yeah.
We have no idea how good Juju is going to be.
No.
Shador is gone. Travis is gone. 11 guys in a recruiting class. We don't know what the transfer portal looks like. He says there's going to be all of these changes. He didn't put in the work at the beginning to build and cultivate relationships because I'm Deion Sanders. You'll come to me. Who's coming to him now?
Yeah.
Besides Damata Pecco's kid.
Right. I mean, it's just really hard when you don't build relationships. And based on everything that I have been told from people that I trust, those relationships have not been built. And I'm talking specifically with high school coaches. High school coaches in
Locally.
any state, locally, can be not necessarily the life's blood of a program, but it's big. You know, and you talk about Colorado, there's enough players in Colorado that if you're getting most of them, you're getting some pretty damn good players. You know, you really are. Now, it's not California, Texas, Florida, I mean, Pennsylvania. I get it. But there is still things that can be done. And now you're in a position where I think if you're Deion Sanders, you've got to reassess your base, your foundation. Early on, it was his offensive and defensive line. He brought in all of the sparkle. He had the quarterback. He had the skill players. He had all of those guys. My God, he had to put them all in the NFL, right? But you didn't build a foundation of a program. It's still a weakness in the program, the defensive front, the offensive front. And the irony here in the front range is that we have a really good seat to see how Colorado is building their program and the Broncos, albeit in the NFL, are building their program. How did the Broncos decide to build? They built from the bottom up. They built from the offensive and the defensive lines and then out towards it. And the dividends are being enjoyed as we speak.
Here's another receipt that all of us kept. Where's the Louis, Deion? You got Samsonite. That's what you got. You got heavy, ugly luggage now. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to knock the players on the team. I'm only going by what he said. We're going to bring in our Louis. We're going to bring in our Louis Vuitton. 11 guys, 2 4-star recruits. The rest are 3-star recruits. No one's flocking to come play for you anymore. Forget about the shine being off. It's rusted. It is rusted through. Isn't it?
Like I said, this will be the most interesting Power 4 program in the offseason I think that you can have.
Why?
Why
hold on. Why is a 3-9 team interesting to anyone?
Because it's interesting because of where Deion Sanders is going into his 4th season. I think the hope was that by year 4, this thing would be pumping, man. You would have your guys in, there would be consistency, you would be competing for the top spot in the Big 12, which means that you would be competing for a spot in the college football playoff, which is a reasonable expectation. The top of the Big 12 will be in the discussion each year for a spot in the college football playoff. That is a fact.
I'm gonna try and throw, believe it or not, a swimming analogy at you.
Good.
Because it's somebody that I know. Okay? And
Sure.
This happened to this person. This person started swimming at the age of 12. He went through puberty at the age of like 10. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't tall, but he was muscular and he was strong. And he was a competitive swimmer. And when he hopped in the pool, he was faster than a lot of the kids, even though a lot of these kids have been swimming for years. I'm talking about this particular kid started competitive swimming at the age of 12. But because he was bigger and stronger, than all the other kids, he would do really, really well. The problem was he felt so good about himself that he was bigger and stronger than everybody else. He's like, I don't need to learn technique. I'm just going to outmuscle everybody in the pool. What that person I'm talking about didn't understand was those kids that he was beating hadn't gone through puberty yet.
Yeah.
And had a baseline of technique. So when these kids that he was swimming against grew up and grew taller and grew stronger and combined that with the technique, this person I am talking about at 12 got lapped by the time he was 14 and 15 years old. He couldn't compete because he relied on, I'm bigger and stronger than everybody else, like Deion Sanders. That's why I'm bringing this up. I'm Deion Sanders. You know where to find me.
Yeah.
I don't need to work on anything. I don't need to work on my technique. You're going to show up because of me. I don't need to go into living rooms. I don't need to impress any parents. You're just going to come to me. Well, guess what? The other kids grew up and got better, and you never set a foundation on how to truly recruit. And now you're 3-9. Now you're not even top 100 in terms of recruiting.
Yeah.
That time has passed. He missed it. So like that person I was talking about, he would never, ever become a great swimmer in his age group because he's no longer bigger and stronger, and he doesn't have the technique. And Deion Sanders does not have the technique to recruit. And I know we can talk about money all day. I get it. But you would think that because of the name Deion Sanders, maybe a kid might take a little bit less to play on the same field and be coached by a Warren Sapp. Deion has that. Other teams don't.
Right.
You can play with Marshall Faulk. Colorado, you can get that here. You can't get that anywhere else. That would be the only equalizer. And guess what? That's not working either.
Eric, we always asked the question, are you going to win? Because that's what it's all about. And all of the ancillary things around a program are fine, but the question is always, are you winning with it? Are you winning? At the end of the day, you can have Deion Sanders or Brad Pitt. I don't care who. You can have the most attractive person in the world running your program in whatever way that you want it. Are you winning games? That's the ultimate question. College football is a billion-dollar business, multi-billions of dollars in television money, all of the things that go with it. It's a big-time business. And if you are not winning, then everything else becomes, I don't want to say moot, but you're not going to be able to make your point. And all of the fame in the world isn't going to help you. You got to win football games, period.
I'm going to use my alma mater as an example. Indiana has a long history of bad football. The last time Indiana was truly, really good for any extended period of time is when I was in college.
Yeah.
That dates back to the 1980s with Anthony Thompson. And they're going to the Copper Bowl, and that was a big deal back then.
Yeah, sure.
They were 7-4. Please tell me how Curt Cignetti turned that program around. They didn't have a huge NIL budget, and they're playing in a far more difficult conference because the guy knows how to coach and he knows how to recruit, and it's not like he has a thick NIL budget. So if he could do it at Indiana, what the fuck is wrong with you, Deion?
Well, you hope that he is asking himself, if you're a Colorado fan, and these are the questions that you hope he's asking, because clearly you can't roll it out again the same way.
They're not only rolling it out the same way, it's worse.
Well,
it's worse.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're behind, right?
Yeah.
And they're not. And all of a sudden, throwing out a shingle on the side of the stadium isn't going to just get people flocking to it all of a sudden. You got to give them more of a reason.
Let's take a hard right turn. Pro Football Hall of Fame class named its finalists in certain categories. In the coaches category, It will not be Mike Shanahan. Not surprisingly, it will be Bill Belichick. In the contributor category, it will be Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. I think it's only fitting that they go in together, don't you think?
Sure.
Well, the funny thing is, it was an ugly divorce. Those two standing on the stage together would be unbelievable theater, wouldn't it?
I think it will be, and I'm looking forward to it. It's the right move to make. We obviously have a vested interest in it because of
Mike Shanahan,
because of our affinity for Mike Shanahan in particular. But there is no arguing in this one.
Right.
Bill Belichick goes into the Hall of Fame. Robert Kraft goes into the Hall of Fame. These are two one-off kind of guys for a franchise that largely defined the National Football League for the first, 15 years or so of this century. So there is no pushback on it. That's the way it needs to be.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. I will be traveling today for a fundraising event for the Boys and Girls Club in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Good.
That's going to be a luncheon tomorrow. Troy Rank will be filling in with you tomorrow. Make it the best possible day you can.